Hi there, Yvonne Guibert here.
Hey there, Rafael Gonzalez here.
And we are super excited to be joined by our guest, Vickie Kennedy. Hi, Vickie.
Hi, Yvonne. Hello, Raphael. How are both of you?
Hey,
We are
Vickie.
great. So for those that don't know where you are, tell us where you're joining us from.
Well, right now I'm in a family vacation home in Walla Walla, Washington, a little town on the bottom east side of the state, kind of tucked in between Idaho and Oregon and Washington, where we have a small home in the wine country.
Nice.
Awesome. So
Very
Washington,
nice.
and where's your home, Vickie?
My home is in the capital in Olympia.
Olympia.
So I'll be heading back from the cold and sunshine to the gray rain of the west side in another couple of days.
Aw. Well, we appreciate you joining us today. We are talking to you today about your recent Comp Laude Award win. So congratulations.
Woo-hoo!
And you were awarded in the category of industry leader. And that's one of the busiest and most hotly contested categories that we have. So again, congratulations. It's a tough crowd.
I was so honored, Yvonne, even more so when I saw that there were, I believe, 9 finalists in that category. And wow, I honestly just did not know what to say.
Yeah, so I've been involved with this process for a number of years, and I marvel every year at how many people get nominated into that category. And it's a really interesting process to watch. I always say, I think we said this several times during the event a couple of weeks ago, becoming a finalist in any category is a major accomplishment. But as you just mentioned, being a finalist in the industry leader category and then looking at your peers, it really is kind of like, at the Oscars, where the folks are always so humble and, grateful to be amongst those people.
Well, and when I think about the history of this award and the continuation of the vision that David DiPaolo had, which really aligns with, I think, the work that I've tried to do over the years here, and I've always just been sort of head down, focus on making these improvements, and I just never anticipated the kind of acknowledgement that someone would even nominate me, let alone become a finalist in this. As just some background, I come from a small town or rural area where people were injured on the job all the time because there were loggers and construction workers, and I had friends with family members who had lost limbs in serious accidents, and it just gave me a different perspective on how life-changing this can be, and what do we need to do everything we can as an industry to help people retain and maintain that quality of life that they had when they were working.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Rafael. We've heard this before, have we not? And Vickie, I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and I'm interested to learn more about the work that you do. That's one thing about this industry. We are so rich with people like yourself who are so committed to doing the work that you do. But I'm so happy to know that you've been acknowledged for the work that you're doing, because it is important work. And our recent conversation that we had in Las Vegas about bringing some of those injured worker stories to light, in light of the work that you do, I think is really going to be some interesting stuff in the coming months.
Yeah, I agree. And some of the most fascinating stories to me too, Yvonne, are about those workers where maybe the injury itself wasn't that serious, but given their environment generally, their personal pressures, their lack of resiliency, they fall into disability. And those are the cases that, to me, we can so easily remedy as an industry if we just approach it differently so that we make it easy for them to recover and return to work.
I agree we've heard this many times, right, Raphael?
We have, but gosh, Vickie, to hear you talk about it from your perspective, from your angle, from the work that you have been doing here for a long time, it is impactful. It's meaningful, right? To hear someone like you talk about it in that manner, because you're absolutely right. You know, don't we see that same injury in two different claims? One individual gets better, improves, goes back to work. The other one doesn't. And then we sort of drop that individual off. So you're right on it. That's exactly right. How do we figure out, you know, what can we do? Where did we go wrong? What extra items can we do to make sure that that individual also pushes through? I love that. Just
Yeah.
love it.
I mean, you think about things like, I think many of us have seen the data about how the same injury in a non-occupational accident, often it has a much shorter recovery time than when it happens in workers' compensation. And a doctor is not giving a different level of quality of care to two different patients. That it's not that. It's about what is it about the system, about workers' comp, that causes some of this disability, if you will, through our complexities, through acting like the worker has to keep proving their disability to us, you know, almost forcing them into that persona sometimes. So what can we do to really support that worker so that they are focused in the right place, and the right place is not having to repeatedly prove that they're disabled. The right place is, what are their goals? What are their needs? What are the barriers we have to break down so that they're moving towards that return to work?
Good
I
stuff.
love it. I know it. I'm enthused. I am. I love that.
So we did it again. We got, you know, we do have a few questions that we like to visit with each of the winners, but we got right into it with you, Vickie, which is fine. You've got so much to share, but you kind of touched on this a little bit already, but tell us, you know, you shared how it feels to you to be nominated in this category and know that you've gotten the award, and learn, you know, you shared a little bit about your reaction, but tell us, break it down for us. What does it mean to you really to know that you have been acknowledged with this award? And I always like to preface this with saying, this is an award that is by the industry. You know, somebody in the industry nominated you, one of your peers, and then the people that go through the vetting process are made up of, you know, our advisory board committee, also people that are your colleagues and peers. So what does that mean to you?
I think the first word that comes to mind for me, Yvonne, is validating. I think what we're trying to do here within the boundaries of Washington is so important. And we've made such advances that I see this as opening the door for us to tell our story outside of Washington, so that others can see that there is a different way for the industry to act. There's a different way for us to approach our customers, to approach our workers that's effective. And people might refer to this as a bit of evangelizing about how we need to be a different kind of industry than we've historically been. So it opens that door to me by having others sort of tap on not just me, but the people that I work with, and say, we want to understand more, because this feels like the right thing to do.
I love that. Thank you.
Me too. Me too. I really, really do. So, Vickie, I want to know, like, and maybe you've already given us, you know, a bit of this answer, but what's the long-term message, right? What allows you? What does this award and this recognition allow you to say in an ongoing basis, you know, for future folks that may be listening, that are paying attention? What does this allow you to say in that regard?
It's an interesting question, Raphael. I think about how this is about a culture change, if you will. And you're always going to have those doubters. You're always going to have those naysayers. And to me, this kind of goes back to what I said about this being validating in some ways. it gives me maybe the fortitude to keep pushing this message out, and gives me maybe a little bit of a toe in the door in other places to continue that message. Some folks know that I finished my 50th year in workers' compensation last month. And so, now I'm sort of at the point of, what am I going to do when I grow up? I'm not so grown up yet. And it makes me view this a little bit more broadly, as a message that I need to carry out, because my experience, I want to use it to help others, and others can be my peers in other jurisdictions, who maybe this helps them listen to what it is we're trying to do. That I am hearing sprinklings of similar messaging like you are, Raphael, really across the nation, and we need to double down on that. And I think it gives me more energy to do that.
Well, I love hearing that. I did not realize that you had just completed 50 years. So congrats on that. Kudos to you. And I love hearing that you have even more energy and that this has given you more energy. So that's awesome. Thank you. So before we close out, is there anybody that you want to thank or acknowledge?
I think on a broad scale, this is a team effort. Even getting an individual worker back to work takes a village. I think we all know that.
Sure.
And the people that I want to acknowledge are those people that are both part of my leadership team here in Washington and all of their staff, because so many of them believed in what we were trying to do and were willing to take the risk and do it. And that's where a lot, this award isn't even about my success, it's about their success and everything that they've been able to do, along with so many peers that I've gained over the years in other jurisdictions that are encouraging this kind of change, if you will, changing the narrative, as we've talked about. And so it's a broad thing. Thank you, not an individual one. But there are so many people where they've taught me how to do this better.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. Ralph, any closing words before we wrap with Vickie?
Vickie, a lot of us have known you over the years in the type of work that you have been doing in Washington, but there are a lot of folks out and around the country, especially on the eastern side of the country, that aren't familiar with your work and the things that you have been doing in Washington for a long time, and this mindset that you have produced, that your team is now embracing. And I want to use this award, this recognition, to just do that, right? Look her up, learn about her, learn about what she's done in Washington, look about the leadership that she has provided in workers' compensation. It is astounding. And I didn't know that you had been doing it for 50 years as well. I get goosebumps talking about that, because what an amazing career, what an amazing accomplishment. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you've continued to do this and that you want to continue to help. How awesome is that?
Yeah, maybe a lot of it is, I know that work is the best thing for injured workers. And in some ways that's influenced me to believe that a lifetime of work is important to me too.
Me too. I love it.
Raphael, when I do finally grow up.
Hey, Raphael and I talk about that all the time. We're in the same boat. So Vickie, once again, thank you so much for joining us today to chat a little bit more about your Comp Laude Award in the industry leader category. Before we let you go, any final takeaway messages for folks that are listening?
Only to pay attention to not necessarily just my award, but the people overall that the Comp Laude Award is recognizing. whether it's the nominees, whether it's the finalists, but there are so many people who are out here doing really good work, and find them and learn from them.
I love that. And it all starts with a nomination. As you mentioned, you were surprised to learn that you had been nominated. So it all starts with a nomination. So if you're listening, think about who needs to be acknowledged for the great work that they're doing. And we would love to have them become part of the alumni of the Comp Laude Awards and join Vickie.
It is a prestigious group for sure.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I know that we will be talking with you in the weeks and months to come.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Vickie. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Love you.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you soon.